let's get into it. There was a discussion a couple years ago, and it was Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo Samuel as it pertains to fantasy football. And this was coming off the heels of Brandon Aiyuk having pretty much, I don't want to say a breakout season, but he had a good rookie year. And people were expecting him to take that next step, not knowing Kyle Shanahan had other plans. And if guys were healthier, Kyle was not even going to play Brandon Aiyuk to the extent that he did as a rookie, which is kind of really wild to me. But whatever, Kyle does his thing, and the 49ers win a lot of games. All right, but I was telling people like, dude, Deebo Samuel is the guy that you should be looking to draft because he's going to get all the touches. They find a bunch of different ways to get the ball in his hands, whether it's running the ball, pass catching. You know what he can do as a runner. I mean, they do all kind of different things with him, and he scores touchdowns. And then he had an explosive year. So he made me look like I knew what I was talking about, having 14 touchdowns, almost 1,800 yards total offense, and then obviously killing it in the playoffs. But now, I don't know exactly what to expect. It's going to be one of those things again where because last year, Deebo Samuel kind of really liked that Brandon Aiyuk rookie year. Deebo dealt with the injuries. I think he only played 6 games at that time. But last year, Deebo missed, 4 games. Aiyuk played every single game. So Aiyuk ended up leading the team in targets and receptions and yardage, all right, for the first time in his career. And also 8 touchdowns. Obviously, Deebo Samuel took a step back. Only 2 touchdowns as a receiver on the season. So, Brandon Aiyuk, Deebo Samuel, what are you expecting from those guys? And is there one guy that you lean more towards in fantasy football? And if it was up to you, would you draft Aiyuk first or Deebo first? I want to hear your thoughts.
So it's funny. The thing is, when you look at the way their ADPs went, right? So Brandon Aiyuk's rookie year with Deebo Samuel coming off of 2019, it was Samuel, then Aiyuk. Well, Samuel's injured, and then Aiyuk performs, and then the next year it flips again, right? And then Deebo breaks out and has a historic season. And the way that I knew Deebo was going to pop off was training camp, right? Being at training camp is probably one of your best indicators. Deebo crushed it at training camp. I told everybody, Ayuk's going too high. I'm good with taking Deebo. Deebo's going to break out. Boom. Like you said, we look smart. We look real smart. The next year, everybody's in on Deebo, and Aiyuk drops. And that's when Aiyuk breaks out in training camp. So I'm looking at this, and I say, give me Aiyuk this year, and as opposed to Deebo. Look, right now at 33 on Underdog, right? He's going at 33.8 ADP. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. By the way, promo code Aponte too, if not Crocky. But he's projected for 190 PPR points right now. Okay, but I want to name some of the people. I want to name some of the people that are ahead of him and where you would be looking to draft them. T. Higgins 25, and then DK Metcalf 29. Give me both those guys over Deebo Samuel. Now, when you're talking about Brandon Aiyuk, his value at draft pick number 62.2, and they have him projected for 6.5 less PPR points than Deebo Samuel. Your biggest concern is that Christian McCaffrey now limits Deebo Samuel. You're not getting those rushing touchdowns. You're not getting him handing off the ball that much. And the injuries. I mean, can you really bank on Deebo Samuel being there all year? I don't want to try to draft him at that spot. It's the injury concerns that keep me away from Deebo Samuel and drafting him. I'll always take Brandon Aiyuk later on in this draft, he's sandwiched in between Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And I would take Aiyuk over both those guys.
And where's that at?
It's 59.1 ADP for Chris Godwin, 62.2 for Aiyuk, 65.5 for Mike Evans. Everyone's afraid of their quarterback situation at this point. Like, this might be the one year that Mike Evans doesn't get 1,000 yards somehow because of Baker Mayfield and because of maybe Kyle Trask.
So do you have Baker Mayfield?
Yeah.
Tampa? I was wondering, and again, some things get lost, especially during the free agency period. There was a lot going on. We were really focused on the 49ers. And I'd see signings here and there. But Baker Mayfield was one that slipped through the cracks. And I was wondering, who the hell is Tampa Bay's quarterback? So it's Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask. Not ideal.
So it's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield. Yeah. So, again, like when you're looking at it, there's guys with higher upside later on. You got Drake London, right? Like at 48, 182. Keenan Allen, who everybody keeps sleeping on at 49. Like, these are guys that I would prefer to have later in the draft than to use capital like that on Deebo Samuel at 33, in my opinion.
Gotcha. And that's a full almost 3 rounds later that Brandon Aiyuk is gone.
Yeah,
I
and
definitely think from a value standpoint, I go that route for sure.
that's it more than anything. It's more about roster construction. Like if you're at the edge of your turn, right? Like you can get yourself an elite wide receiver. Like let's just say you can get yourself a Stephon Diggs and like a Travis Kelce, like at the edge to start your draft, and then you can start looking for a running back later on. It's all about how you're building your team, man. If you go RB heavy and you wanna have a guy that you think is steady, that I might be able to come around to it, but just Deebo's injuries scare me. And he's only had one season where he's played all of those games, and that was a historic season. And the reason that it's historic is because nobody's ever done that. And it means that things aren't going to happen like that again. So 33 feels okay, but there's guys with more upside, in my opinion.